And Tower Tassadar, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kylaris, and we are back with DuckloadRa and QXE for round 2 of their best of 3 from the IEM Championships in Germany. And this is going to be on Metalopolis, and we do have close by air spawning positions, which could make for a very, very interesting game. And I actually spent yesterday playing Knights of the Old Republic 2 with a Nazi. Literally, he was dressed up in an SS uniform, and it was quite interesting. No, he wasn't really a Nazi. It was like some uniform that he was using for some movie that they're making. But literally, he was wearing it whilst playing Knights of the Old Republic 2 for the Xbox. So that was an interesting day. A very interesting day. And anyway, regardless. QXE here, one of my favourite Terran players, and obviously DuckloadRa, also one of my favourite Protoss players. So this is really a war in my mind, as well as a war here in StarCraft 2, because I love both of these players, and QXE is a really, really strong Terran player, showing us previously in round 1 what it means to be a harassment style player. Really kind of bringing it to DuckloadRa, really throwing him off his game, taking out so many probes with so many varieties of harassment. It was a true sheer delight to watch. So we do have this refinery going down for QXE, very normal build here coming out from QXE, as well as a pretty damn normal build coming out from DuckloadRa as well. Going to be throwing that simulator down on the normal 14. Both players scouting in the wrong directions, so they're only going to know that they're both close by air once they've scouted every other base. And DuckloadRa at this point just chrono boosting out a few probes. That gate is almost finished, and we do have that barracks just finishing, as well as a marine popping out very soon. So both probes do bump into each other, and DuckloadRa taking a pot shot at that SCV. I'm interested to see where he does go now, and he is going down there in order to be able to scout his eventual base. QXE, on the other hand, going to be scouting the wrong base, as was said before, and we do have that cybernetics core coming down for DuckloadRa, as well as an orbital command for QXE. So both players, once again, not really planning any cheesy shenanigans. DuckloadRa going to be moving away with that probe, saving it from the wrath of that marine, who was going to be nicely microed enough in order to be able to take it out if he'd so choose to actually go and try and get in that base. So DuckloadRa going to be throwing down this pylon just behind the smoke, as well as QXE throwing down a supply depot just behind the smoke. And does it seem odd to anyone else that this smoke has been added here? Because any unit that's here would be a flyer and can probably see over the smoke anyway. I don't know why they've done that since the last patch, but meh. Whatever. Whatever they choose to do is fine by me. So I would like to see DuckloadRa go for some kind of one-gate expand, as is... and as I say that, he throws down a second gas, so he's probably not going to be going for a one-gate expand. As I really love going for a one-gate expand against Terran. We do have another barracks as well as a factory coming up for QXE. And Stalker now out for DuckloadRa. So he actually could have picked off that SCV with that Stalker, but decides not to. He has secured this watchtower with this probe, and is just going to be running up here with this Stalker, maybe to put on some early aggression, but I'm pretty sure that this marine force is going to be able to shut that down pretty significantly. In fact, just bringing that to the watchtower, I'm going to be using that probe as a little bit of a scout. So we do have warp gates almost finished for DuckloadRa, as well as a second gateway going down, and nicely packed units here. We do have that sentry popping out, as well as a robo facility, so 2-gate robo currently for DuckloadRa, whilst we do have an interesting 2-gate factory Stargate mix coming up for QXE here, throwing down a bunker. Maybe he's going to be planning for some kind of transition. He is indeed landing that tech starport on that tech lab, so I'm assuming we're going to see some kind of Banshees, and we do indeed see that Banshee. Whenever I see a bunker at the front of a base of a Terran, I almost instantly think Banshees, because that's just what happens. They like to reinforce the front just in case you do end up getting up there to have a little bit of a scout, as well as kind of just reinforce their position as a whole. Using this factory to scout now, very common tactic that you see from a lot of Terran players nowadays, using factories to scout when they're really not deciding to go mech. And we do have that command center going down, as once again is normal after a Banshee opening, just expanding off that early aggression. Really nice use. And they're following that barracks now into that position, so no run-bys do occur, so you can just let units out with that supply depot. So this factory has seen all it needs to see. It does see the 3 gates as well as the robo facility. An observer now coming out for DuckloadRa and probably going to be expanding very soon. Defensive pylon going down here to make sure no run-by Hellions can go up the back. And a Banshee now moving out for I was going to say DuckloadRa, but QXE now going to be moving out with this Banshee. And probably going to be trying to poke in at these units. Let's see how many probes this Banshee does get, because Banshees are infinitely better than Dark Templar AP user, state of the game. And going to be getting at least 2 kills with this Banshee just before it does get shooed away. Probably going to try and take some pot shots off on this Nexus, trying to catch up with that probe, but is going to be shooed away by that Stalker. But at the same time, DuckloadRa does see everything that is going on in the base of QXE, does see that expansion being created, and that Banshee did get taken out by those Stalkers there, so really nice positioning of those Stalkers, luring them around, pushing the Banshee back with this single Stalker here, leaving these Stalkers up here in order to be able to take that out. So Twilight Council now down for DuckloadRa, as well as a really, really fast Templar Archives. Interesting choice of unit there. I'm probably going to be getting those as a transition in order to combat the Banshees, so he can feed back the Banshees as quickly as possible. And that really does deal a massively crushing blow to Banshees, as it does so much damage, especially if they're really high on energy. So that expansion has now finished for DuckloadRa, but at the same time that expansion for QXE is floating into position, throwing down a few defensive bunkers, and going to be loading those up in order to make sure that no push at the front is going to be as damaging as could possibly be. And this is where I really like to see what DuckloadRa is going to be doing, because at this point in the game, what I like to do is grab that forge, grab my defensive upgrade, my +1 armor, and then push in with a pretty heavy Zealot force with Guardian shields. And at that point, if the Marines don't have any weapons upgrades, the armor of the Zealot plus the Guardian shield negates so much Marine damage that it's almost ridiculously overpowered to actually kill a ton of Zealots with this count of Marines. So these Banshees were doing a little bit of prodding action here. I didn't actually catch that, I do apologise. But regardless, going to be coming back home in order to get a little bit repaired. My eyes are not what they used to be, and I should really get some glasses. And going to be throwing down a few more pylons in order to make sure he doesn't get himself silocked, as well as throwing down a few more gateways in order to spend any kind of extra minerals that do come in. We do already have High Templar out, so really, really fast Templar. I'm really excited to see what he's going to be doing with those. A Raven actually going to be throwing down an auto defense turret, trying to take out this Observer, but that Observer just gets away. This Raven now in hot pursuit with a single Marine. I won't be surprised if we did see that Marine stim, but he doesn't actually have stim. So +1 weapons are now on the way for DuckloadRa, as well as Cloak on the way for these Banshees as well. And once these Banshees do get Cloak, they're going to be a menace to deal with. Although Photon Cannons going down in the back of the Natural, I really want to see a Photon Cannon down in the main as well. There we go, that Photon Cannon is down, so he's going to be able to see everything that's going on. Another Photon Cannon down near all these buildings. Look how packed these buildings are. Really interesting placement of buildings. I have never seen buildings quite that packed into one another. And where are these Banshees? There they are. I really want to keep an eye on those. 4 starports down now for QXE. Really odd play here from QXE. I really haven't seen that big a starport play from a Terran for a long, long, long time, if ever, now that I think about it. And getting a lot of Vikings out with those reactors, as well as more Banshees, but he is Psylocked briefly, but that Cloak is almost finished, so they're going to be able to do a lot of harass. Oh my god, and takes out that Observer. Nice play there, nice movement. And even taking out that Zealot, as these Banshees do deal a billion damage to every ground unit ever conceived. Small dig at Banshees there. Now spreading out Marines in order to be able to scout any kind of hidden bases that do go down. Oh my god, did I miss those storms? I'm rewinding. No, I'm not. I can't bother. But oh my god, Storms taking out so many SCVs there. Going to be trying to drop these High Templar near these SCVs again, but they really didn't have enough energy for Storms. But taking out so many SCVs there, and now throwing down an expansion at this bottom position here. But QXE does see this with this Marine. Really lovely scouting by QXE there. Really rewarded for that scouting, and he'll be able to deal with that effectively, especially if he brought around his air units, since he is building up quite a strong air force here. Going to be poking in, throwing a scan down, going to be taking out a pylon. You may as well take them out, especially if you can Psylock your opponent. And a Robotics Bay now going down for DuckloadRa, as well as weapons level 2, as well as ground armor level 1. Some more Banshees coming out now, a Planetary Fortress being morphed in at the top here, but a Storm going down, just pinching those units. And look at the composition of this force, using this point defense drone to soak up all the Stalkers' fire, as QXE knows full well that Stalkers are the main brunt of air defense for the Protoss army. And the composition, oh my... wow, this is fantastic. The composition of Banshees as well as that point defense drone makes Stalkers completely null and void. So he did in fact take that point defense drone down just for precautionary reasons, as it really doesn't do much unless he comes in and decides to attack there again, but it really doesn't matter at that point. So throwing down a Ghost Academy now, as well as another tech lab on that barracks. Again, I really love this scouting by QXE, just able to keep an eye on all these expansions. Really needs a Marine down here, as this is probably the most likely place that DuckloadRa will expand to next. But this Air Force is becoming really potent by QXE here. And at the same time, White-Ra is really not dealing with it at all. He's just building Colossus. He really needs to be able to deal with this. Although that being said, if he was to even try... oh my god, Storm's going to be going down on those, as well as point defense. Auto turrets going down as well, and trying to take out as many of these pylons as possible. And look how much damage these Banshees do in such a short period of time. Cloaking, but it's not going to be able to do much use, as you can still storm units that are cloaked, and just doing so much damage to these ground units with these Banshees. These Banshees must have quite a few kills between them, as well as pylon destructions as well. So going to be actually focusing down on this Robo Bay, and actually taking out the Robo Bay that had a few Stalkers, Colossus queued up on it. So you don't actually lose money for those Colossus, but indeed delays the production for them of them quite a lot. A few Colossus coming out from this one, and nice Storm going off there, as well as this Archon coming in to do a bit of splash damage to these air units, but really needs to move back, as that Archon just melts to these Banshees. These Banshees don't even have any upgrades yet, and they just absolutely get just demolish their way through a lot of the units of White-Ra. Really losing quite a lot of these Banshees, actually. I'm quite surprised how many he is losing. But as I say, he is creating a lot more back in base, and this Colossus is just being free pickings for these Vikings. Now dropping a point defense drone in order to be able to deal with any kind of thing, and landing in order to be able to do quite a substantial amount of damage to the economy of White-Ra here. Still battering away with these Banshees, and at the same time these Zealots have come in, so they're going to be forcing these Vikings to lift off. And more Banshees, oh my god, this is totally relentless by QXE, just putting on so much pressure with all these air units. A cannon has just gone down, but also did take out that Raven, and a nice Storm there, taking out a few of those Vikings, and these Vikings are all on really low health. All these units really need to go back home and repair, but even taking out all these Zealots, but at the same time we do have a potential counterattack going on up here, but he does realise that there is a Planetary Fortress, so he's not going to be able to do too much, whilst these Banshees are going off here. A scan going down, I'm really not sure why he's scanning. There is no observer here, there is only this cannon providing vision, but these Zealots are going to be chasing down this command centre in order to be able to try and deal with that, shut it down as best he possibly can, whilst QXE is piling on too much pressure. Oh my god, still not dealt with these Banshees. They're just doing so much damage in the base of White-Ra at this point. He really needs something to deal with it, and he is just dropping more scans. I'm really not sure why. He just needs to kill this cannon up at the top, which is providing vision. We do have charge on the way for White-Ra as well as ghosts for QXE. And these Zealots over here just running in a very strange direction. Really need to be able to deal with this command center here, although it is morphing into a Planetary Fortress, so he really needs to deal with that as quickly as he possibly can do. And these Stalkers have now fended off the air assault, finally, of QXE. And oh my god, have I really missed a fusion core going down? Have I really missed that? We do have that fusion core down. Lots more Banshees and Vikings coming out, as well as a Raven queued up as well. And we have so many Banshees being produced right now. I'm really surprised we don't have any battlecruisers going down just yet. Another command center going down, and a lone Zealot preventing this expansion from actually taking land, and we do have these Banshees that are going to be going over there and preventing that from happening much longer. So White-Ra going to be expanding to this bottom position here. We do have armor level 2 as well as weapons level 3 going down for White-Ra's ground units. He really needs more Stalkers in this composition, otherwise he's not going to be able to deal with this massive air force. Oh my god, you're going to be taking out that pylon very, very quickly, and now warping in a few more cannons, but he doesn't actually have any vision of these invisible units. Throwing some storms down, but not in the best of places. He really needs to drop them just below these Banshees. Really need to drop it just there where that little circle is, because that is where it's going to be able to do the most damage, not right on top of them, as the graphic is quite misleading, and getting a few good storms off, but not really doing as much damage as he would like to. They have now been provided vision by that cannon over there, and now getting some nice storms off on those, and going to be taking out a lot of those Banshees. And Archon now morphing in order to be able to deal with those. But I'm really surprised, actually, these Vikings could land and deal a lot of damage to those units. But a lot of Zealots now moving across the map whilst this is going on, and QXE going to be retreating, trying to deal with these Zealots as quickly as he possibly can do. He does have a planetary fortress morphing in at the gold and killing a Zealot there at the watchtower as well. All these Zealots are going to be marching over to this planetary fortress, hopefully just before it morphs in. Oh my god, it's just morphing in, and all these SCVs are going to probably be forced off the line, and they are being totally decimated. But at the same time, the planetary fortress has morphed in. It already has 1 or 2 kills with the help of that Banshee. That Banshee does have 4 kills now, and these Banshees coming in to finish off this Zealot count that was marching across the field. So that Marine did get taken out over by the 5th potential base of White-Ra, and he is indeed taking that 5th. We do have another expansion going down for QXE in this position, but also we do have these battle cruisers, the cattle bruisers, coming out now for QXE. So he's going to be marching to victory with the glorious capital ships. No upgrades on these, but he is getting the weapons level 1 as well as the armor level 1 for those units. And a few ghosts here. Going to be EMPing these High Templar, no doubt, in order to be able to get rid of anything. Oh, feedback now going down on that battle cruiser, doing at least 200 damage, and as well as a storm as well. Few storms going down. He really needs some kind of EMP action going down on these, because they're just doing so much damage to those Vikings, but he really needs to be able to repair those as well. The Cattle Bruiser, though, doing so much damage. Did I say Cattle Bruiser again? I really did. And now an auto turret going down in order to be able to delay these for as long as possible. A few Archons have been morphed in, but 3 battle cruisers, ladies and gentlemen, on the production tab. Oh my god, throwing down a big scan there, going to be having a look what's going on over there, and going to be bringing in all these Banshees in order to be able to deal massive, massive damage. He really needs to grab some EMPs, throw some EMPs down on this ball. Come on, where's the EMP? He really needs to be able to do that in order to be able to shut them down completely. And we do have more Colossus as well as Observers coming out in order to be able to combat this force of QXE. So I'm loving this play of QXE right here. Really interesting. That Templar Archives did go down in the top position, so he is going to be throwing down a second one in order to be able to get out those High Templars once again, because they are going to prove so vital against this composition of QXE. Storm, feedback, all are super, super good against this air force of QXE, and I really like how White-Ra has transitioned into that in order to be able to combat this. This is turning into one hell of a game, ladies and gents. Four battle cruisers on the production tab right now. Jesus Christ. We do have this battle cruiser here. Where are the other battle cruisers? They move so slow. They're currently across the gold, but we're going to be moving down here in order to be able to try and take out this base of White-Ra's. Just moving in with that SCV there to do a little bit of scouting, and lots of cannons now going up in order to try and defend this. But oh my god, that Medivac does in fact pick up those ghosts to get it on the high ground, and we need to see some EMPs. Where are the EMPs? Massive EMP going off there, not doing getting all those High Templars. There's 1 High Templar left with the ability to storm. A huge storm going off there, doing a lot of damage, and now these Stalkers are just taking the brunt of this damage, but doing a lot of damage to these units, and now constantly scanning in order to take out any kind of observers that there are there. But these photon cannons will provide some kind of detection if there are no observers. So throwing down a pylon here in this position. Maybe he threw down that earlier on, I'm not quite sure. Didn't really check it out. Now Terran armor building going up once again for QXE. Really interesting to see this Terran armor going up so often, and more battle cruisers on the way out now for QXE. But at the same time, battle cruisers are getting a buff in the upcoming potential patch, so maybe not as good a unit as one may think, especially since they don't move that fast, which is why they're increasing their speed. And we do have armor level 2 as well as weapons level 2 coming up for these flying units now. Armor level 3 almost done for the Protoss, and going to be denying this gold expansion with the raining down of the capital ships. Going to be taking that out pretty damn easily. Going to have to retreat though, and huge feedbacks going down on those units. We do have Yamato cannon on the way being researched, but when the feedback is in play, I'm not so sure he's going to be able to get off much Yamato cannons at all, since these High Templar will deal with it quite well. few Banshees now coming in here, scanning, realizing that there's no detection here, although there is indeed an observer sneakily in the ball of the unit, so going to be having to move back. One Banshee did go down, but now these are going to be fine. Bringing these Vikings along and going to be scanning, trying to take out these observers as quickly as possible with these Vikings, and then going to be pushing in with those Banshees to get hopefully a few free kills. We do have the Behemoth reactor coming out now for QXE, and going to be increasing the amount of energy he can have at any given time, especially when they spawn. And a lot of chrono boost not being spent here by White-Ra, which I would really like to see being spent, since it's just a fantastic mechanic, and you really need to use it in order to be able to keep up with the Terran, especially when you've got this many bases. So, bit of a stalemate right here now. Every base has been taken on this map. Metalopolis, again, an absolutely fantastic map. We do have Protoss shields being upgraded to level 1, as well as Gravatic Drive being upgraded for the warp prisms, but we haven't really seen many warp prisms in the game right now. Bringing in more of these air flyers again in order to be able to try and deny this gold expansion, and we're doing a pretty good job with it. Big storms going off on those, not doing too much damage, as these ships will get repaired pretty quickly. Bringing down a few SCVs here, controlling this watchtower, very, very important in order to be able to know where your opponent's going, and going to be moving in with these battle cruisers again to try and deny the gold, but in fact going to be bringing them back in order to defend against these units. We don't have Blink yet out for these Stalkers. That would have been absolutely fantastic, and just as I say that, oh my god, it appears in the production tab. So many Stalkers here. Blink would just decimate this Air Force given the chance. And Yamato cannons now raining down on that Nexus. We're going to be moving back as quickly as possible, as there are a lot of feedbacks coming out from those High Templar. So these Banshees just going to be draining some energy, a bit cloaked, not doing too much. But this Nexus has just been constantly shut down by the air dominance, really, of QXE, just poking across this crevasse, really able to shut down anything like that at all. So, but White-Ra here going to be moving out with a very, very scary force. These Stalkers are going to be able to do so much damage. They're on 3-3 upgrades, as well as a 1 upgrade for the shields, and we do have 3-3 upgrades coming out for these battle cruisers. If those upgrades do go out for that, get out for those battle cruisers, they're going to be dealing so much damage and going to be so hard to kill. A few Marines coming up here, trying to poke in, trying to get as many probe kills as possible. QXE ever the harassing player, and just trying to kill off as much as possible, but not doing too well, as there were a few photon cannons in position there in order to be able to deal with that. So this is a really, really scary Air Force. I have never quite seen this kind of Air Force in a game from a Terran for a very, very long time, and going to be dealing a lot of damage, especially if he gets good EMPs off with those ghosts. It's time will tell how this goes. I'm really anticipating this fight. Both players are pretty much maxed, and this is going to be going down right about now. He's bringing those High Templar up in order to be able to feed back an EMP. Probably Storm, and does get a few Storms off, as well as EMP feedbacks, and now should really blink in nice EMP off on those Stalkers, but not enough. Really needs to get more EMPs down, and huge amount of cannons going down there, blinking in a really strange way, and really needs to pull all these SCVs off in order to be able to repair these capital ships, but they are going down at such a fast rate, and now the Stalkers really proving their worth against these battle cruisers. I'm really surprised that the Stalkers have been able to prove their own against these battle cruisers, blinking into range of this planetary fortress, and the planetary fortress does have 3 kills, but these Stalkers are going to be able to deal with these battle cruisers so fast. Look how fast they go down with those 3-3 ups, and now it seems like QXE is in a really bad position, and does indeed GG. Oh my god. So that is going to be it for Game 2, ladies and gents. Come back for Game 3, where we will see who decides this match. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.